It's absolutely a pleasure today to be able to have the Rhode Island Turnpike and Bridge Authority join us for our Innovation Challenge, and we're just thrilled to have the Executive Director who's gotten up on this Saturday to be there along with Rafe, who's on her immediate executive team. And I can't tell you how thrilled we are and excited we are to hear from your tremendous team that is all here, I believe, from CCRI. And so without any further ado, let me introduce the topic itself. RITBA, which is the acronym for the Rhode Island Turnpike and Bridge Authority. Their topic is on the humidity and hope. Okay, RITBA's goal is to make a positive impact on Rhode Island and contribute to a brighter future for the state. And traditionally, Rhode Island's transportation system has very much prioritized cars, with 88% of the commuters relying on driving. However, there is a steady shift towards greener modes of transportation, really necessitating and the anticipation and adaptation of infrastructure to support this evolving demand. And what RITBA's Innovation Challenge underscores is the importance of building community support and state involvement to maintain and improve the bridge's safety and functionality by addressing the evolving needs of Rhode Island's transportation infrastructure and promoting sustainable practices. And so as RITBA has come together, their point is that this will all help the state to create a brighter future for all of its residents. Okay. Once again, we're going to highlight the fact that the members of the team are all from the Community College of Rhode Island and their engineering program, the Mechanical and Civil Engineering. And now I'd like to introduce the team members. Carlos Medina Martinez. Carlos is currently enrolled at CCRI as a student majoring in mechanical engineering with an interest in computer science. His hobbies are music and reading. Welcome, Carlos. Next, Christopher Green. Christopher is currently enrolled at the Community College of Rhode Island, and he is majoring in mechanical engineering. His hobbies are drawing, woodworking, and fishing. Engineering is something that Christopher is very passionate about, and for him, he truly enjoys it so much that, in fact, the satisfaction of an engineering project being completed well is just as exciting to him, if not more, than catching a large fish. And that is saying something coming from the ocean state, okay? But joking aside, he is always trying to improve himself and his lifestyle in order to push himself further. And Chris is doing that by being better equipped for a career in engineering. Harold, so welcome, Chris, or Christopher, okay? Now we move on to Harold Alexieff, and I hope I got your pronunciation correctly. Harold is currently studying mechanical engineering at CCRI. He was born in Providence, Rhode Island, and is of Dominican descent. Harold got into engineering during an after-school robotics program with Lego NXT, and he continued his interest in high school as part of the College Crusade program. This opportunity with RITBA and IA has really allowed Harold, from his perspective, to see the interesting problems that come with infrastructure, and it has given him a deeper appreciation for all the work done by civil engineers and authorities to keep people moving. It's such a pleasure to have you with us today, Harold. Next, Naftali Rosales. Naftali is currently enrolled at CCRI as a major in mechanical engineering. His hobbies are reading, writing, and cooking, and he particularly enjoys working as a sushi chef And since he was a kid, Neftali's had a lot of interest in creating or fixing things. And so in Guatemala, that type of career was very, very difficult for him to pursue. And so he is really excited to have that opportunity and to be able to pursue his interest at the Community College of Rhode Island. And welcome, Neftali. Next, we move to Nicholas Brewer. Nicholas is currently enrolled as a civil engineering student at CCRI. Growing up, he developed a passion for building and design, and at CCRI, Nicholas is dedicated to expanding his knowledge and skills in this field and is preparing himself to transfer to the University of Rhode Island. In the future, Nicholas's dream is to become, of all things, an Imagineer at Disney, combining his passion for design and construction with his love for creating immersive experiences. And Nicholas, welcome. And then finally, Ryan Connolly. Ryan is currently enrolled at CCRI and he is majoring in the civil engineering department. And his hobbies are biking, swimming, and reading. And with that, it gives me great pleasure to turn it over to RITBA, and let's roll that 3-minute introductory video.
Hi, our team is Humidity and Hope. Our bridge is the Mount Hope Bridge. Built in 1927, it has over 15,000 vehicles crossing daily. The next fastest crossing point is the Braga Bridge in Massachusetts, an extra 40-minute commute. Over 20% of the drivers in the Mount Hope Bridge cross at least 4 times a week. This includes small business owners, workers, students, staff at Roger Jones University, and plenty more. This nearly 100-year-old bridge is due for an upgrade.
Installing a dehumidification system is highly advantageous because this technology will inhibit the corrosion and the suspension cables and will extend the life of the bridge. The construction of the system should have a minimal impact on the traffic because the work platforms and the walk paths are going to be in the suspension cables. The bridge is expected to take 2 construction seasons to install the dehumidification system, and also the bridge is expected to reach the dehumidification levels after 6 months of completion and testing. The safety level recommendation is 2.5, and this can eventually can go under 2.5. We don't dehumidify the cables on time. The other option is cable replacements or build a new bridge, and all these options are highly costly.
Community is encouraged to participate and have an opportunity to feel involved in what their state is doing. Schools and organizations can be a great way to spread awareness and get people involved. We want to organize bridge-themed art exhibitions as well as interactive awareness nights with community fundraisers. We also want to encourage students to speak about Mount Hope Bridge and invite them to express their interpretations of the bridge. We hope to engage local historians, artists, and writers as a way to deliver educational workshops, lectures, and storytelling sessions centered around the bridge's history and significance.
If we launch a social media campaign with hashtags like #OurHope and using pictures and videos to bring engagement and awareness to the Mount Hope Bridge, it will encourage people to share the story about the bridge, along with photographs and videos on platforms like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. If we collaborate with local businesses and Rhode Island brands like Dells and Iggy's, influential social media personalities, travel bloggers, and photographers to amplify the campaign's reach and engage a wider audience.
The Humanity and Hope campaign will captivate the community, tourists, and bridge enthusiasts, creating a buzz and fostering a deeper connection with this iconic structure. By leveraging digital storytelling, engaging activities, community involvement, and social media campaigns, this will enhance the bridge's name across New England and the county, and make everyone who encounters the story of the Mount Hope Bridge a part of its history. Let's spread the word about the Mount Hope Bridge.
All right. Thank you so much, RITBA team. The floor is yours, and you guys can present your screen share.
Good afternoon. We're a group from the Community College of Rhode Island, and I'm Nick Brewer, and this is our team. This is Chris, Harold, Carlos, Natalie, and Ryan. We were invited to the Turnpike. Oh, sorry about that one. We were invited to the Innovation Challenge by Professor Kelly. We've been working with the Rhode Island Turnpike and Bridges Authority, and for the last several weeks, we have been working on this challenge, and it's been giving us an amazing opportunity to connect with other people, our community, and make a better impact on Rhode Island for all of us. And we are raising awareness about the Rhode Island Mount Hope Bridge Dehumidification project. Thank you.
So what makes the Mount Hope Bridge special to us? The Mount Hope Bridge is a crucial crossing point for many Rhode Islanders, having upwards of 15,000 vehicles cross every day. Without the Mount Hope Bridge, the next fastest crossing point would be the Rhode Bridge in Somerset, Massachusetts. In 1986, it was found the detour route was 45 minutes long. 37 years later, it's safe to say the number has likely gone up due to traffic levels and congestion. Construction for the Mount Hope Bridge started in 1927, and only 4 months before its opening, it had to face major reassembly due to structural issues. Before it was finished, the Great Depression hit and funding ran out. In 1954, the bridge was purchased by the state and is now administered by the Rhode Island Turnpike and Bridge Authority, where it has remained the longest bridge in Rhode Island for 40 years. Statistics show that 72% of drivers on the Mount Hope Bridge cross at least 4 times a week. It's a bridge used by small business owners and workers. It is also the number 5 bus route in terms of riders for the Rhode Island Public Transit Authority, and is used by underserved communities. It is also a priority route for students and staff attending the Roger Williams University, as the campus sits at the north end of the bridge, making it convenient and reducing a spread of student traffic.
How does transportation work? In Rhode Island, 88% of commuters use cars as their primary mode of transportation. The high reliance on driving emphasizes the importance of having a strong and efficient transportation infrastructure in place to meet the increasing needs of the state. With approximately 15,000 vehicles crossing the Mount Hope Bridge daily, it serves as a crucial link for commuters, small businesses, and underserved communities. However, the bridge faces challenges due to humidity, which accelerates corrosion and threatens its future structural integrity. To address this issue, the Mount Hope Bridge dehumidification project proposes the installation of dehumidification system. This system can significantly extend the bridge's lifespan, ensuring the safety of its users and reducing the need for costly alternatives like cable suspension or bridge replacement. The project aligns with Rhode Island's commitment to maintaining a reliable transportation system while promoting sustainability. As the state continues to experience population growth and increasing traffic, investing in the Mount Hope Bridge dehumidification project becomes crucial for ensuring reliable infrastructure that supports efficient movement across the state.
To put humidity in perspective, at a high humidity above 70%, the corrosion rates are incredibly high. However, when humidity is brought down to just 60%, the corrosion rate sees a massive reduction. And at 40%, corrosion is essentially arrested.
So, does the technology work? The dehumidification begins inside constructor platform on opposite sides of the bridge, usually located side of the anchors, which introduce generated dry air into the cables at the injection ports. The dry air is pushed towards a south sleeve further down the cable where the moisture is then relieved. By installing the dehumidification system, we efficiently stop corrosion of the cables, one of the major bridge components, and extend the lifespan of the bridge. Construction of the system should have minimal impact in traffic because work platforms and the walkways will hang on the suspension cables. It is expected to take 2 construction seasons to install the dehumidification system. The bridge cables and anchors are expected to reach the target humidity levels of 40% or less in 6 to 24 months after completion and testing. If we don't dehumidify the cables, our only option will be limited to cable supplementation, cable replacement, or construction of a new bridge, all of which are very costly options. Bridges such as Delaware Memorial Bridge and George Washington Bridge have installed a dehumidification system in an effort to extend the lifespan of the bridges and protect the small crucial parts.
Why does our bridge need it? To start, the Mount Hope Bridge is an impressive 94 years old, and with proper maintenance, it could last another 90 years or more. However, as time passes, it becomes crucial to address the challenges that may arise. That's where the dehumidification system comes in. A dehumidification system helps maintain a bridge's structural integrity. Water infiltration can weaken the strength of steel cables over time. While materials naturally corrode and degrade over time, a dehumidification system helps to greatly slow down and even arrest the corrosion process. By doing so, it effectively doubles the lifespan of a bridge, resulting in substantial cost savings that can be redirected towards other maintenance projects. The Mount Hope Bridge holds significance as an everyday aspect of the lives of the people of Rhode Island. Bruce Livingston, a prominent supporter of the bridge, once said that every citizen who drives over it should support its preservation. As an important landmark and a bridge may have likely crossed, it represents the connection between communities. By installing a dehumidification system, we not only show our support for the bridge, but also ensure its safety, functionality, and longevity for future generations. With its age, history, and importance in mind, the crucial infrastructure will continue to serve as a vital link, preserving its legacy and benefiting the people of Rhode Island for years to come.
Now, the cost benefit of such a project is, as you can imagine, very large. Maintaining these bridges can be quite costly, and often there's a political aspect involved in implementing tolls to fund these maintenance efforts. RITBA does not receive substantial funding from bridge tolls compared to states like New York or New Jersey. So alternative means are utilized to cover the expenses of bridge maintenance. The funds required for our bridge maintenance come from tolls, a portion of the state's gas tax, as well as federal grants. To give you an idea of the expenses involved, the installation of a cable and anchorage dehumidification system on the Mount Hope Bridge would be approximately $35 million. It may seem like a lot of money, but in comparison, replacing the bridge is a fraction of the cost in time, money, and local economic damage. This diversified funding approach helps to ensure a steady revenue stream for bridge maintenance efforts. Let's explore each of these funding sources in more detail. Number one, the tolls. RITBA may not have you rely on toll revenue, but it still collects tolls as one of the funding resources for bridge maintenance. The toll charges vehicles for using specific bridges or highways. Revenue generated from the tolls are directed towards bridge maintenance projects and infrastructure improvements. Number two, the gas tax. RITBA allocates a portion of the state's gas tax revenue towards bridge maintenance. The gas tax is a tax imposed on the sale of gasoline and other fuels, typically used to fund transportation-related projects, including road and bridge maintenance. Number three, the federal grants. RITBA seeks federal grants to support its funding for bridge maintenance. These grants can come from various federal programs dedicated to transportation infrastructure and maintenance. By securing federal grants, RITBA can access additional financial resources to support its bridge maintenance efforts. The installation of a cable and anchorage dehumidification system on the Mount Hope Bridge costs approximately $35 million. The expense of this project demonstrates the scale and complexity of bridge maintenance projects. But dehumidification is the most cost-efficient method of addressing cable corrosion. The cost highlights the need for adequate funding to ensure the safety and longevity of bridges.
What makes our bridge ready for such an upgrade? In 2016, an inspection on the Mount Hope Bridge revealed significant damage in the finer wires that make up the larger cables. The breakage was directly associated with climate change, which has increased the humidity within the cables and therefore has accelerated corrosion. To put the corrosion in perspective, the factor of safety started at 2.95 and has since dropped to 2.62, which is dangerously close to the recommended factor of safety of 2.5. However, if the rating reaches 2.15, then weight restrictions will have to be made on the bridge, which would greatly affect commerce, as large trucks would be the first to experience these restrictions. As stated earlier, this bridge is a part of many Rhode Islanders' daily lives as they go to work or school. As you may know, there was a recent collapse on the I-95 in Pennsylvania that disrupted a major roadway, causing issues for hundreds of thousands of people. In hopes to keep this route open for many years to come, preventative maintenance is key, and the bridge has already had a rough history. We must do everything possible if we hope to keep it functional for the citizens, workers, and students that cross on a daily basis.
Junior Achievement Inspired Event. This event allows RITBA to show the virtual reality setup that allows people to go up to Mount Hope Bridge and move up and look around. This type of innovative engagement with the public at the Junior Achievement Inspired Event introduces 8th graders to careers and infrastructure.
Another way to spread awareness is by community projects. Encouraging local communities, schools, and organizations to actively participate in a campaign to raise awareness about a bridge can be a fantastic way to engage and create a sense of connection with the structure. Bridge-themed art exhibitions organize art exhibitions that showcase artwork inspired by the bridge, invite local artists to contribute their pieces, which could include paintings, sculptures, photographs, and mixed media art. These events would be held in popular community spaces like art galleries, community centers, libraries, and parks. Also, host interactive awareness nights where community members can come together to learn more about the bridge and its significance. These events can feature presentations, panel discussions, or guest speakers who can share their knowledge and experience related to the bridge. Encourage attendees of all ages to ask questions, engage in discussions, and share their own stories or memories associated with the bridge. Community fundraiser or festivals that combine the awareness campaign with a community fundraiser or festival. Organize a festive event near the bridge, complete with food stalls, live music performance, and family-friendly activities. The event can also include educational booths or exhibits that provide information about the bridge's history and importance. Use the opportunity to raise funds for the bridge. Essay competitions among students, which reach out to local schools and invite students to participate in essay competitions focused on the bridge. Provide them with guidelines and encourage them to explore their interpretations, emotions, and personal connections to the bridge. Recognize and award the best essay during an award ceremony, which can be part of the community fundraiser, festival, or a separate event. Educational workshops, lectures, and storytelling sessions that collaborate with local historians, artists, and writers to deliver educational workshops, lectures, and storytelling sessions centered around the bridge's history and significance. These sessions can take place at schools, libraries, or community centers, and provide opportunities for attendees to ask questions and engage in interactive discussions. Collaborative projects that encourage collaboration between different communities, groups, schools, and organizations. For example, local schools can work with artists to create related to the bridge. Historic societies can team up with writers to publish a book on the bridge's history. By fostering collaboration, you can strengthen community bonds and create a more impactful campaign. Partnering with Roger Williams University and involving students that live and go to the school right next to the bridge is a major part of their experience as they see and use it every day. Set up events on the campus to get more people interested in the bridge.
Branding is very important in the 21st century. Mount Hope is an iconic structure in Rhode Island. It can help to elevate the recognizability of more people. By launching a social media campaign with a strong brand, the bridge's awareness with current social media campaign, and a strong brand, the bridge's awareness with current and future supporters. By using trends and engaging with new audiences, using hashtags like #OurHope, pictures, videos will also bring engagement and awareness to the Mount Hope Bridge. They'll encourage people to share the story about the bridge, along with photographs, videos on platforms like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. Collaborating with local businesses, Rhode Island brands like Dells and Iggy's, and as well as influential social media personalities, travel bloggers, and photographers. This will all amplify the bridge's campaign and reach a wider audience of all demographics. More traditional ways like email newsletters and local media outlets are also great ways to promote the campaign and are still very effective as well. By designing a distinctive logo that represents the bridge and its significance, this logo on various merchandise items such as t-shirts, hats, stickers, and keychains. as well as setting up an online store to sell these branded items, will encourage people from all over to proudly display and wear the merchandise, creating a sense of unity and support, and also advertising the bridge. And these are our references. Thank you very much for your time, as we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for that presentation. Now we're going to reset our clock and enter our Q&A portion. So we'll just give it 1 second here for the timer. Perfect. And Leslie, if you want to take that away.
Well, thank you, Trey, and good afternoon to the Rhode Island team. I'm Leslie Rogers. I'm pleased to join you from San Francisco, where the temperature has risen now to 59 degrees. I am honored to serve as the chair of the judging panel, and I'm so happy to be joined by 4 other esteemed colleagues. Let me first turn to Alicia Kane, who's with Cubic Transportation Systems, where she is the head of UMO Solutions and Market Development. A couple of questions for the group, Alicia?
Sure, and thank you. And thank you, team, for this informative and interesting project that you've undertaken. My background is not construction or bridge, but you mentioned a couple of things. One is the ranking 2.95, and it's gone down to 2.62. And then when it gets to 2.5, there are some major considerations to be encountered. When dealing with, the fact that, if it gets below 2.5, there could potentially be a failure. What is the real true impact on the community for a failure for this bridge?
Well, like we mentioned, the first thing to be affected would be commerce. I mean, so many people use online shopping nowadays, so it would have a large effect on them. It would be delaying packages, all that type of stuff.
Okay, so is there, I was looking for, give me 1 second. I was looking for alternative plans or things that you might consider. Where do you see the gaps associated with this project and being able to support the implementation?
Going around the bridge.
So
your solution says humidify, basically reduce the humidity to 40%. There's a real cost to that, and there are some resources that are required. Where do you see the gaps associated with providing the solution?
So the alternative to, if we don't get this bridge dehumidification system, is eventually large trucks won't get over it, and that's terrible for the local economy. But then the next closest place is, I think, 40+ minutes to go. So this will have a large gap on the economy for the locals, especially for the school and all the people who use it daily. But this bridge, the locals really appreciate it, and the bridge dehumidification project is a major and necessary use, because if it's not replaced, the bridge is, the next options for it is either cable replacement or building a new bridge, which is extremely expensive, especially nowadays. I know for comparison, there's 2 bridges in Cape Cod, and those are getting replaced for about $4 billion. So out of that fraction, 35 million is not a lot. To keep this bridge for another 90+ years, hopefully, it makes sense.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Alicia. We'll next hear from the team's neighbor, Andrew Brennan, who's from the Boston area. And Andrew is the vice president with the design and engineering company HNTB, where he's engaged in national transit and rail practice consultancy. Andrew?
Thank you. As Leslie said, I'm in Boston. Leslie, by the way, it's 76 degrees here in Boston. So sorry. So I'm very familiar with this bridge. I'm very familiar with this area. I spent just I love this project. I'm sorry to tell you. I am a civil engineer by training, and I've worked on transit bridges my whole career, on, many historic bridges. I've never worked on a suspension bridge, so I kind of want to get on this one. But a couple of things that I would want to just like throw out to you. They're more comments and questions. Assume I view this as a climate resiliency project. Yes, the corrosion happens for a lot of reasons, but as days get hotter and hotter and hotter, and there's more humidity over a saltwater body, there's more corrosion, and that will only continue. Is that fair to say?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so I really view this as a climate resiliency, and without going too deep, like I said, I'm very familiar with it, so the cost of not doing it is massive. A few things. You say it takes 2 construction seasons?
Yeah, for install the system.
Okay, and is that continuous? Is that a break?
Yeah, after they install the system, is well 6 to 24 months to clean the air.
Okay, and what's the impact on traffic down below while they do this?
The only impact they're gonna have in traffic just the time they're gonna put the walkways, but after that it's gonna be a minimal impact because all the work gonna be in the cables, so they can still use the 2 ways.
So it's sort of set up and then it goes, and you're not constantly sending workers up, and it's
No.
not. Okay, interesting. And from an engineering point of view, I realize that all the solutions would be difficult, but what are the alternatives? I mean, if you don't do this, you ultimately have to replace the cables. What would happen if you didn't do this or didn't have this technology?
Well, the bridge is gonna malfunction if we don't do something like that. But the option as cable replacement or cable supplementation or build a new bridge that really gonna impact the University of Rhode Island or Roy Williams and the campus and the cities around, because they use it a lot.
No, I understand. I just trying to figure out, like, if you don't do this, something like this, what all alternatives are. Bigger, more expensive, more impactful. I'm just trying to figure out what they are, but it's really replace the suspension cables or build a redundant bridge, right?
Yeah.
So that's disruptive. Okay.
Yeah.
I've got 1,000 more questions and comments, but I'm gonna leave it to my colleagues to take it over. But really great work, really fascinating work.
Thank you.
Thanks, Andrew. I never knew you were an engineer. I thought you were.
Yeah, I don't say that a lot, but yeah.
Well, let's turn to our next judge, who is Greer Johnson Gillis from the Jacksonville Transportation Authority in Florida. She's a senior vice president there and the chief infrastructure and development officer. So infrastructure, Greer, I know this is true to your heart. Any questions?
Yes, sir. You are absolutely right. And I'm going to follow suit. In Jacksonville, Florida, it's a whopping 90 degrees here today. Yes, gentlemen, you did a phenomenal job. And as a fellow engineer with Andrew, this one spoke to me. I got what you were doing and the importance of why this bridge is important for the commerce in the area and important to the community. And I could go at you with a number of engineering questions. I want to talk more about your plan. I thought that was innovative on how you want to get the community involved. Help me understand the fundraising. How much money are you looking to obtain in the fundraising? What's your time period, and how is that funding going? How are you intending for that funding to be used with all of the other funding sources that you have to actually buy this dehumidification system?
Okay, I love it. But when it comes to fundraising events, I think it's more about getting people involved where they can, bring it to the government's attention for budget, because I definitely can't imagine a bridge project, coming out of pocket from maybe a fundraise event like that. It's definitely more about, getting people involved so they can get the government involved in getting the funding that way.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Truly appreciate that. Great presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions, Greer? Miss Infrastructure?
I didn't want to take so much away, but okay, thank you for letting me have that question. So, gentlemen, you were talking about the time period that it will take, and that, and Andrew asked you the question about traffic impacts or what have you. Have you thought about, and Alicia mentioned that, I want you to delve a little bit more in what happens if you're not able to get this system in place in the time. If you're looking to get the rally to support, it's going to take time for even that support to generate into funding to RITBA. So what else could be done to extend this life or keep this going and not allow that those numbers to drop? Have you given thought to that?
Yes, so honestly, preventive maintenance is key. So we can keep repainting, we can keep a close eye on this bridge to make sure that the humidity doesn't corrode it any faster than it currently is. And further inspections are very crucial. So if we can catch it earlier than later, that will be save time, money, and just a bunch of resources that would go into this bridge if it were to get to that point. So if we can stop that before it even starts, that's honestly our goal. If we can't get this maintenance system, that's just continual operation on this bridge.
Can I potentially add something? Yeah, hello. 35 million does seem pretty massive. However, this is pretty new technology. It's only on a handful of bridges in the country right now. And so when we're involved with something so new like this, it's obviously going to be way more expensive than as it'll become later and later. So it's definitely important to get involved with it, support the technology, keep it going, innovating, and making it cheaper for other bridges around the country. Yeah.
Can I add something to that? Well, if we're working on it, it would also create more potential jobs, you know, having people work on it, that would create more jobs to the economy. As we said before, you know, that bridge, a lot of commerce goes through there, a lot of you know, trucks come here to deliver all the stuff. I know me personally, because we have a restaurant, we have, you know, things from Restaurant Depot, trucks coming through to deliver, and that's, you know, really key to the economy, helping support, you know, putting in what comes out. So I'd say it'd be really great to help the community with this.
Also, the bridges like the Delaware Memorial and George Washington, they have the same system now. I used to live, you know, close to George Washington, and barely I can, well, it's a lot of traffic going on in, you know, New York City, but you barely can see, you know, the extra work they put in there. So definitely, you know, works.
Great. Let's hear from our final judge, and that's Julia Gessner. Julia is the Director of Administration at Transdev US. Julia?
Yeah, thank you all for your presentation. I'm not an engineer, so the way that you explained this project was really well done, because it described from, you know, the problem, the solution, and then how you're actually going to work on executing and building support. One question that I do have, though, is do you have a specific year in which you're going to hit a point of no return, where even with installing this system, you're going to have to make significant structural repairs to the bridge?
So it's really hard to tell because, you know, climate change is a very real issue. So it's more of a global issue. Temperature and humidity is very unpredictable, as well as you can see. Like this summer for us, it hasn't been as hot here, which is weird, because in normal years it's been a lot hotter this time of the year, but the humidity has been a lot warmer. So it can vary, and that's a very tough point to tackle. But realistically, within 10 years, we hope to get the system, and that's a very general just walkout time.
If you don't mind me saying, if you look at the numbers we already have, It was in the past 7 years that the factor of safety dropped over 0.3. So it's safe to say we only have maybe 5 before it reaches that factor of safety of 2.5 or even below.
Thank you, guys. I noticed that the team is comprised of all engineers, and for someone who didn't do especially well in the hard sciences, that's why I became a lawyer. I have great admiration for your efforts as engineering students. But let me just ask, so I used to run the Federal Transit Administration's West Coast office, and Dr. Scott will attest that most of the discussions spun around money. So I think we heard from your director yesterday that the authority has received $100 million in the last 2 years, and you have 4 bridges. Of that amount, what's targeted to your bridge here, the Mount Hope Bridge?
So that of that 100 million, that mostly goes towards the Pell, I believe. I don't think that there's much money allocated to the Mount Hope, just because it's the way that the grants work. It's mostly towards the larger bridge. The Pell is the bridge in Rhode Island, so that gets most of the attention from the government, and that's where all the money goes to. That's the bling, that's the toy. But the Mount Hope is a little brother, right? But it's the workforce of Rhode Island, essentially.
Right.
True Rhode Islander, they take that bridge. Like, so it's not as flashy to the government. It's hard to get funds for that bridge because there's so many different causes that the government can give their grants to.
Thank you. I'm particularly mindful of that since I have a partial view of the Golden Gate Bridge from my apartment here. And so your project has crystallized for me the struggles in terms of bridge maintenance. So again, thank you guys for a wonderful presentation. One other question. What's been your interaction with the engineering staff there at the authority? You all are at CCRI. Can you talk about that just quickly?
They've been great. Throughout this whole thing, our connections that we made, the experiences that we had, I feel like it's really brought us into this new world of engineering and even just people building and just learning. It's honestly been great from my perspective. I don't know about you guys, if you'd like to speak on it.
Before this, I never been so passionate about bridges, so I like the experience about working with the bridge authority. Yeah, I don't have more words. I really like this.
I mean, we've only been working together a short time, but I feel we've really made a team out of ourselves. So,
right.
The
timer is telling me we're over time, but as we've done with every group, we'll afford you like 2.5 minutes for closing remarks. If you can undertake that for us, thanks. Take it away, guys.
Okay. We appreciate your time, and this opportunity that's been given to us is very appreciated. And I would just like to thank you guys personally and the team at RITBA for this experience. And if you guys would like to say anything as well.
I'd like to say, Nick has been very involved, very focused captain, you know, where we sometimes fall like a little short. He picks up the slack for us, you know. It's been really nice to have like an engineering team that, you know, that actually does the work on the project. You know, a lot of times you're on the teams that are half committed or they don't have as much time to do it, but we make the time here, you know, to actually work on the project and be involved.
Thank you for the competition to give us the opportunity to all come together and learn about engineering a little bit more. It's certainly been helpful. So.
Well, thank you, team. We'll turn it back to Dr. Scott for closing comments.
Well, this has been absolutely, as I said, this is Rhode is near and dear to me. And so I know this bridge very well. The bridge is okay. Lori Silvera, your team, I cannot thank you enough. Your team has just done an outstanding job this morning. And I want to acknowledge, I think a couple of you, WSP, I think has been one of your real partners on this, as well as CCRI. And then of course, only in Rhode Island, okay, to be able to have your congressional delegation led by Senator Reed with students actually being able to be in the room. That is why when I saw this real focus in terms of how to bring community together and engaged in Rhode Island, it just really makes a difference. And so thank you so much for such a compelling presentation this morning. Thank you.